Good morning, everybody. How are you guys today? Good? I'm so excited to be out in Santa Monica, leave the east coast of New York for this warm 50-degree Santa Monica weather. It's awesome. I want to start this off with a question, and I need everybody to participate. Show of hands, how many of you read a magazine this morning? Two people. Show of hands, how many of you checked Facebook this morning? Almost everybody. We're living in a digital age, yet there are still billions of dollars spent in those magazines that you're not reading, trying to get you to buy their product. Does that make any sense? Things have changed. It's 2016. Things are a bit different now. But I'm going to take you back, before I get into why 360 VR video is the future of social media marketing and so many more things, I'm going to take you guys back 20 years ago to the mid-90s when I wanted to be a pro rollerblader. Because that was cool for like 5 years. But seriously, I competed on the amateur level. I wanted to be pro. But think about how different it was just 20 years ago. When I wanted to be a pro rollerblader, and me and my friends, and some of my friends were great. They were in the X Games, they were in the Gravity Games, the Do Tours, so I was surrounded by really great professionals. But as we wanted to get better, how did we progress? How did we figure out what the next trick was? We'd read Daily Bread magazine. It was like one of 3 publications at the time. We'd wait until the holiday season came around and the 8 new skate videos would come out, and we'd watch them all in like a day. And then we'd go out and we'd try to figure out how to replicate these tricks. And we'd throw ourselves down flights of stairs, and we'd do it until we either hit our heads and had to go home, or we figured out the trick. Pretty ridiculous. I think my mom's probably pretty happy that that career trajectory of pro rollerblading didn't work out. But think about it in today's terms, 2016. If I was this young kid today and I wanted to be a pro skateboarder or whatever's cool now, I could go to YouTube, I could look up how to do a rodeo flip. And there'd be 55, 75 different how-to videos. And probably in 3 hours, I could learn how to do it safely, smart way to do it, and I could be getting on with my pro skating career. But back then, we had to do it differently. We had to look at this traditional media. We had to wait till the skate videos came out, and we'd have to figure it out on our own. So what did I do? I figured, hey, why don't we start filming ourselves to try to see like what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And that's what I did. We would go out, I'd go out with my friends, we're all trying to be pros, we'd film all day, we'd skate all day, we'd go home, we'd watch this stuff like game tape. We took it very seriously, and we'd look at that night and we'd say, oh wow, this worked, that didn't work, let's go try this differently tomorrow. And we did that for a long time, and then one morning I literally woke up and said, wait a minute, this is wonderful, but why am I filming myself? When a lot of my friends are actual pros and in the X Games, Gravity Games, why don't I create the video that doesn't exist? There's only 8 of these. It's a small niche market, obviously, but as a kid, I'm going, man, I wish there was more videos. So I decided I would create what didn't exist, what I wanted to watch. And so that's what I did. I started filming my friends who were pros. I went to all the pro competitions, traveled around, filming all this stuff. And eventually I learned how to edit. To anybody who's in the tech space, you'll probably appreciate this. I learned to edit on Adobe Premiere version 1.1. Throwback. High 8 video, right? Mid-90s. That was like the shit back then, right? So I created this video, and I called up Video Action Sports, which at the time was the biggest distribution company for the action sports market. And I called them up and I said, hey, I have the next skate video. You guys are going to sell this, and you're going to distribute it immediately. And they're like, whoa, who the hell are you, first of all? Second of all, you got to send us something. Let's check it out. So I did. They loved it. I sold like 5,000 copies of my first video, and for a 17-year-old kid with a $9 royalty on 5,000 videos, that's pretty awesome. And I realized 2 things at the time. One, I was an entrepreneur. But number 2, that there was something in this video market, in this video game, creating content that was going to lead to something big. And as I continued in the late 90s and into the early 2000s, what I realized was there were so many people, at least in that market, that wanted to see this content, that wanted to see these videos. And so much of it didn't exist. And so, for example, most of the skate videos at the time took place on the West Coast. I was on the East Coast. So there's a whole new dynamic, all new pros that most skaters didn't get to see at the time. So what we started doing is we started creating videos and putting them up online to where you could download them, because you couldn't stream back then. There was no YouTube, right? I knew that it was going to be something. I didn't know how big it was going to be, but I knew it was going to take me places. So who am I now, 20 years later? Brian Cristiano, the CEO of Bold Worldwide. We're an ad agency. We work mostly with sports, athletic, and lifestyle brands. And video is a huge component of what we do still today. And we have clients as large as PepsiCo and Tropicana, all the way down to a chain of running stores on the East Coast. And we do everything from digital marketing, social, video, and we're very much on the forefront of what works now, not what worked 10, 15, 20 years ago. Which is why video is still such a huge part of what we do, which is why digital and social marketing is such a huge part of what we do, and why we've invested so heavily in 360 video, because as confident as I was back then that video in general would be something, I'm even more confident today that 360 and VR video is going to be the future of how we consume video, content, marketing. So anybody who's been living under or marketing under a rock, I'll just quickly explain what 360 video is. In its simplest terms, exactly what it sounds like. You go out and you film and you capture 360 degrees of whatever the topic is that you want to film. So instead of just looking at one perspective, one angle, you're now filming every single angle simultaneously. Right? So you're not just filming in front of you, you're filming behind, below, above, and then you're taking that footage and then you're stitching it together, and there's a bunch of different methods on how to do that. And then the consumer or the viewer can then view it in a multitude of ways. And they can view it in 360 degrees. The most obvious is Oculus, Samsung Gear VR, the headsets, the VR headsets. So if I film this in 360, and then you put on one of these headsets, you can watch it the way that I filmed it. So if you want to look behind you, in front of you, up, down, it's your choice as the viewer how you want to see this. And it gives you your own unique perspective on whatever the content is of how you're going to see it. The viewer individually. So you can use VR headsets, you can use your cell phone with the accelerometer, same idea. If you move your phone to the left, you'll see what was to the left, you look up, same thing. On desktop, you can click and drag. And then you have Google Cardboard where you put your phone in and use an app and you kind of put it over your eyes. It kind of simulates the VR experience. Let's take a look at the timeline of what has happened in 360. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it. Not just because it's cool, because it is, but because how astronomically fast this is growing and taking off. March 2015, just over a year ago, YouTube allowed users to upload 360 content. This is just over a year ago. Last September is when Facebook finally allowed users to upload and stream 360 content. That's not even a year yet. Since then, and I talked about this, I was at Social Media Week in New York 2 months ago, roughly, and I said, hey, I sat down with Google, the team over at YouTube that does 360, I sat down with Facebook, and both of them had told me, they said, listen, at some point this year, we're going to have live streaming 360 video. This was less than a year since you could even view 360 on YouTube. And since then till now, in just 2 months, live 360 video is now on YouTube. Right? Live streaming 360. So how fast this has grown has been astronomical in just 1 year. We went from being able to upload stuff on YouTube to live streaming on YouTube. Facebook is doing the same thing. Facebook a week ago just launched the ability to look at 360 photos, not just video. The New York Times, which is a very traditional publication which knows that they're being progressive, they know they need to change how they're giving out the news, how their consumer base is consuming content. They've already twice sent out Google Cardboard with 360 video content to their customers so that they could view 360 news. That's pretty awesome. They've done that twice. The growth curve is astronomical. It is astronomical. This is we're just scratching the surface, which is why I'm very excited. So let's talk about what makes 360 content great. Number one, it needs to be immersive. You need to be able to put somebody in a time and in a place to where they feel like they're actually there. Whether or not they have the headset on or not, or they're just looking on their phone, they need to feel like they were actually there, right? If you're putting them in the seat of a race car, if you're putting them on the 50-yard line of a football game, if you're taking them to the edge of a volcano, they need to feel like they're there. That's number one. Number two, it needs to be a unique perspective. You can't just show something you'd normally be able to see, because then it's not unique. You could go there and see yourself that same way. But if you create a unique perspective, you put them, let's give you a visual example. If I put a 360 camera on a quarterback in an NFL game, that's a perspective I'd never be able to get any other way. I'd never be able to stand there unless I became a pro quarterback myself. I'd never be able to see what the O-line is doing by looking down, looking at the snap, looking behind me, seeing the running back go around, cut his route. I would never be able to see that. Yes, you can see that in regular, flat video, and it's still exciting, but imagine being able to feel like you're immersed in that perspective. And then the experience has to be phenomenal. It has to be great. It has to be a good experience. Because you're telling a story. Regardless of its regular video, 360, just general marketing images, you have to tell a story. And 360 allows you to immerse people in your story. So you're giving them an experience or the opportunity to have a great experience. And that experience could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be speed, it could be excitement, it could be anything, any emotion, right? Imagine the experience of sitting in a NASCAR, in the passenger seat of a NASCAR race, and being able to look out the passenger window as they're getting past at 200 miles an hour around a turn. That's an awesome experience. Now, what industries, and I know there's a lot of people here that are from agencies, different brands, different industries. I want to talk briefly about what industries I think can benefit the most from 360 video, right? I think, and I've kind of mentioned it a lot, sports teams, sponsors of sports, I think is the obvious one, right? Think of it like this. The NFL sells out every Super Bowl, every ticket. They're thousands and thousands of dollars. They're impossible to get, right? You can fit, what, 80,000, 85, 90,000 in the stadium, depending on where it is, and that's it. But what if you could stream the Super Bowl live from the 50-yard line in 360, and you could sell virtual tickets? Now you can have as many people as you want be at that game. Yes, they know they're on their couch. They know they're not really there. But it's pretty incredible that if you could watch from the 50-yard line or the bench and you see what's going on and you can look down the field and see the winning touchdown, you can look behind you and see the crowd screaming. That is a completely different experience and perspective than you would get watching it at home on your flat TV. Right? And think about from the sponsorship perspective of just these teams being able to create videos and create content to where they can now offer this up as a sellable asset for branding purposes for their sponsors, right? A 360 video in a Cadillac of, the quarterback talking to the running back about something on their way to the game, and Cadillac's the sponsor. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but it's just one example of how sponsors and teams can really get on board. And then brands, which I think is interesting, because I think what's really hard and what's difficult about 360 video is, your T-Mobile, for example. Like, what are you going to show in 360 that's cool that anyone cares about? You sell cell phones, right? You sell data plans. But think about this, and I'm going to skip to events and tie this back together. Since YouTube launched the live 360 capabilities, they launched it with Coachella. So I don't know how many of you, like when you're not here, dressed up nice, have like fringe and headbands on and would have loved to be at Coachella, or maybe were. But if you couldn't take off the time, the week out of, an entire week off and go to Coachella, to this music festival, you could stream it live in 360 with great views of the stage, look behind you, see the crowd cheering, be a part of the action in live 360. T-Mobile was a sponsor of that. So T-Mobile itself didn't have something exciting to immerse you in, but T-Mobile partnered up with something that was exciting to then give their audience and other audiences a chance to experience this live at an event that people wouldn't have necessarily been able to go to. And now they can experience that. And that's how brands are connecting the dots in 360, by creating experiences, right? I know that BMW just recently did something that was very cool in 360, and they combined that with their traditional marketing, which is a really smart way to cross it over. Nike just did something in Europe. The brands that know it and get that consumers want to have a great experience and to tell a great story, they're all in on this. Tourism, I think, is another one that's very, very interesting to me, right? Imagine, instead of just showing images or some static video of what it's like to go to Denmark. I don't know, I've never been to Denmark, but what if I could experience what it's like to be in the most amazing, most beautiful parts of Denmark, myself, on my couch, at home, at my office? It might open up my eyes and say, wow, I never knew there was so much beauty, so many cool things, so many places to go, so much amazing things in Denmark. I had no idea. Now, what's interesting to me about this is when I was at Social Media Week, somebody at the end asked me a question, and they were from a very, very large country, and he was the head of their tourism department. And he said to me, yeah, but don't you think if we create 360 video and we show everybody our country, that people are going to go, oh, that's nice, and they have no reason to come? No, that's insane. Of course they will. If you show me something that's so compelling, and I feel like I'm really there, I know that I'm not really there. I don't watch that and say, oh, wow, that was so cool, I never, ever need to go on a safari. I don't need to do that now. I saw what it was like. No, it makes me more compelled to do so, because the story and the emotion is so much stronger in 360 when you connect all the dots together. It'll give people more of a reason to go and travel there. And then this one's very interesting to me, and I have not seen very much of anything come from this industry, real estate. But I think this is going to be a game changer. My wife and I, back in New York, we're moving, we're looking for a new place, and I can tell you that shopping for real estate sucks. It's a terrible experience. I'm sure you've all experienced it on some level, right? You see 30 places, and 29 of them are absolute garbage. You're like, wait a minute, you can't pay me to live here. This doesn't look like any of those photos that I saw, right? And you waste a shitload of time going everywhere. You waste the broker's time, you waste your time. Imagine if I could open up my Zillow app or my Truly app, and I could take a virtual tour, and I don't mean the virtual tours right now. Yeah, they have photos that are 360, that's fine. But I mean stand in the kitchen and then walk into the dining room and feel what it feels like in spatial terms to stand there. What does it really look like? Look at the floor and the ceiling and look around. I could tell you, I wouldn't have even visited those 29 places. I would have said that number 30, I would have said, that's the place, take me there now. How much energy, time, marketing does that save both the broker, the real estate firms, the consumer? Everyone wins. This is going to happen. I haven't seen much of it yet, but it's going to happen. So let's jump into the marketing piece of this, because that's why I know we're all here. Quick question, show of hands. How many of you have the Facebook mobile app on your cell phone? The mobile app on your phone. Does anyone not have the Facebook mobile app on their phone? One person. Why not? I don't think you're the only person in this room who doesn't have Facebook. I think you're the only person not only in this room that doesn't have Facebook on your phone. I think you're the only person in America. We found the person. I'm going to have to call Zuckerberg after this. We got to get you on there. No one's too old for Facebook, right? But here's the reality, right? Everyone's on Facebook. Pretty much everybody in this room admitted they've checked it at some point today. 1 in every 5 minutes on mobile is spent on Facebook. Let that sink in for a second. 1 in every 5 minutes on mobile is spent on Facebook. That sounds absurd, but it's true. That's how much time people are spending consuming Facebook. And mobile usage is just increasing, so that number is going to go up as well. And Facebook owns Instagram and so on, and WhatsApp, right? They have your attention. Which is why I love marketing on Facebook. Because the attention is there, consumers are there, people are there all the time. I don't care about the print ad because none of you are reading it, but you're all on Facebook, and I know that. So, I'm going to talk about a case study that we ran this year. We did it for a couple reasons, but we created a video, 360 video of New York City filmed in time-lapse. We created this back in, I think, February, give or take. And I don't have enough time to show the video up here, and obviously you wouldn't be able to experience it in 360. But if you want, and this isn't a self-plug, if you want, you go to Facebook, and you can type in Bold Worldwide. That's our agency. We pinned it to the top so you could take a look at it. And you could load this 360 video. Make sure you do it through the app. Right? Don't just go to your browser and look this up. You do it through the app, and if you want, you can take out your phone, you can swing your arms around, you can elbow your neighbor, but you can check it out and you can experience this yourselves. You can do it after, you can do it now. But we wanted to create this video for a few reasons, right? Number one, we wanted to create the first ever 360 video of New York City filmed in time-lapse. Now, we weren't the first 360 video of New York City, but we wanted to be the first one filmed in time-lapse, meaning instead of just filming video, we shot thousands and thousands of photographs from a dozen cameras, stitched those together, turned it into video. It was a much more complex artistic process. We wanted to do it because we thought it could look cool. We wanted to see if it could be done. We wanted to see how New York would look that way. Number two, we wanted to leverage paid media on Facebook to promote the video, and we wanted to measure it. Because 3.5, 4 months ago, even though you could put 360 videos on Facebook, you couldn't put any paid media behind it. As of February, you could, which was interesting to me, which means that there was no case studies at the time. There still isn't that I'm aware of driving paid media on Facebook for 360 videos. And then number three, we want to drive massive engagement, organic and paid, and we wanted to see how far we could push that. So what were the results? Over 700,000 video views, over 2 million people reached, 24,000 and change reactions, comments, and shares. I think over 10,000 of those were shares. Right? People that were commenting weren't just commenting, they were tagging their friends, tagging multiple friends. 442,000 people of that were reached organically. Now, we're not some big brand with 1 million people following us. We're an ad agency in New York. Who gives a shit about following an ad agency aside from maybe a few people in this room? Consumers don't care. They're not following us. But for us to drive over 400,000 organic reaches, that's absurd. Do you know what the best part is? Oh, I'm sorry. Going a little out of order here. One of the best parts, I would say, were the quality of views. Because a lot of you say, that's great. 750,000 views. That's wonderful. That's nice. I've done that before. Or that's not that much. Right. You can pay to get 750,000 views. That's right. But can you get 750,000 views where people are watching it to the end? Where people are engaging and they're sharing and they're commenting and they're tagging their friends because they like the content? That's a lot harder. Here's a few comments. This thing is awesome. Ryan Buckley to Timothy Buckley, brother, cousin, or something. This is the video I was talking about. It is the future. Theodore, I showed this to someone in China, and the first thing she said, is this magical? Yes, my dear, it's magical. The great part about this, the great social experiment, was seeing what people were saying and how they were commenting. Of course, they loved it, but so many people had not seen 360, and they definitely hadn't gotten promoted 360 video in their newsfeed. So people were excited. So a lot of people, this was the first time that they were seeing it. The only negative comments, really, were of people going, I don't understand. Why is this just a shot of the floor? Because they were standing with their phone like this, and they didn't realize they needed to pick it up. Facebook's changed the algorithm now. It'll start wherever your phone is facing, so you're not going to look at the floor if you start with it looking down. But at the time, that's how it was. So there's a lot of confused people, but the vast majority of the comments were people that were super excited. And then this one, cool, I was shitting on the toilet, and then I was in New York. The future is here. Yes, Zachary, the future is here. You know what the best part is? We spent less than $3,000. For $3,000, we've got over 700,000 views, actual views where people are watching it, not 3-second views, and a cost per view of less than half a penny. Less than half of 1 cent to get somebody not to just watch your crap because you ran pre-roll in something where you forced them into it, where people actually watched the content and cared, and they liked it, and they shared it, and they tagged their friends. Find me anywhere you can do that for half a penny. Find it. You can't. You can't do it. Not for half a cent, that people actually care. You can drive a bunch of cheap views. That's fine. But that's not what we were after. We wanted quality views, and that's what we got for less than half a cent. Facebook was the fuel to the fire for 360 video. We could have just posted this, but again, we're just a small agency. Well, small in the context of Facebook likes and follows, right? Nobody cares. Nobody's really trying to follow us except for people in the industry and marketers. So the paid media is what drove that reach to regular consumers, to people that wanted to experience New York City. What were the major keys to success here? Create really great fucking content. And by content, I mean your story. Video, imagery, whatever it is. I'm obviously talking a lot about 360 video, but this applies to everything. If you're creating garbage that even you wouldn't click on or watch, do you really think your consumers give a shit? They don't. When was the last time you went to a website and the whole thing popped up with this great huge ad and covered the whole website and you said, oh wow, that's really cool, let me click on that? You've never done it, and neither has your consumers. We think it's great because we're getting impressions. Nobody gives a shit about impressions. I want quality. I want people to actually care and take a real action. And you have to create great content, tell a great story. I don't care if it's 360. I don't care if it's a regular video. I don't care if it's print, if you still believe in that. But it has to be great, or no one will care. And you have to incorporate your brand creatively. Because in today's age, everyone knows they're being marketed to. You're not fooling anybody. You have to incorporate your brand creatively. Consumers will appreciate it. If you're telling a great story, if you're giving them really great fucking content, and then you're incorporating your brand creatively, we're not bashing them in the face, they might actually appreciate your company. Now, I'm not saying that it should be like a Super Bowl ad where you don't even get to the name of the company until the very end for 2 seconds, because that doesn't necessarily work either. You want to drive actual results. You need to incorporate your brand, but it has to be done creatively. And you know what my biggest fear for 360 video is? There is going to be a boardroom somewhere where there are 20 people and they say, wow, this is really great. But wait a minute. You mean the consumer can look behind them? But our logo's over here in the front. What happens if they look over here? They're not going to see our logo. Oh man, we need to put a logo on the ceiling and the floor and behind them and to the left of them and to the front of them. You know that conversation is going to happen. And they're going to ruin the experience of 360, and then they're going to wonder why it didn't work and nobody really cared. Because you destroyed it. You destroyed a great storytelling medium. That's why it didn't work. But you can incorporate your brand so creatively in 360 and in VR. Think about the product placement opportunities. You're Pepsi, and you're showing something really awesome, and there's Pepsi on the table and a logo somewhere. People aren't going to say, oh, no, I'm not going to watch it. There was a Pepsi on the table. Right? We all know brand placement works. Of course it does. This is a better opportunity to do so. And then last, you need to leverage Facebook marketing the right way. It's not just promoting a post. When we did this, it wasn't just boosting that. It was very highly specifically targeted to the right audience with the right amount of money to drive the right amount of engagement from the right people. So many people do Facebook marketing and they just boost a post or something like that, or they throw out some generic dollars against it, but it's really about finding the right audience on Facebook that's going to care about your content. We found people that cared or wanted to care about New York City, thought it was cool. We're not just doing 360 video because 360 video is cool, then it's just a gimmick. Gimmicks don't last. This isn't a gimmick if you do it well and you tell a story and you target the right people. Now another show of hands real quick. How many of you have the YouTube app installed on your cell phone? Maybe like 60% of the audience is kind of consistent. Okay? How many of you, when you are searching for something, you want to see a video, you're like, oh, I want to see some cat videos, that's cool. Do you go to your YouTube app first and then search, or do you just open up your browser and search for the video? Show me a hand, browser hunters. Most of you, about the same amount of people that had their YouTube app installed, right? Here's why I didn't promote it on YouTube. And this is going to change. This technology is new. Again, we're like year 1 in this, right? So this is all going to change. But right now, today, if I promote 360 video on YouTube, the problem is if you open up your browser on most operating systems on your phone, it breaks. You can't watch 360 in your operating system, your Safari browser. You can't do it. It doesn't work. You have to watch it in the native YouTube app. But most people go to Google through Safari or whatever they're using, and then they search. So if you come across our 360 video that way, it's just going to be broken. It's not going to work. You can't experience it in 360. But as a show of hands before, almost every single one of you, except for the lady over there who's scared of Facebook, almost every single one of you have the Facebook app. And you almost all browse Facebook through the native app. And when you're in the native app, I know that you can view 360 content correctly, natively. There might be one or two stragglers that for some reason go through their browser, but for the most part, people use the native app. That's what's great about Facebook. So when I'm targeting people on Facebook with 360 video, I know if I'm targeting them on mobile, almost guaranteed that they can actually view it natively. I can't do that with any other platform yet. It will happen, but you can't do it yet. Guys, the opportunity is now, right? Let me put this in perspective. There are over 1 billion, with a B, videos uploaded to YouTube. Over 1 billion videos. That's not hours, hundreds of billions of hours, right? The second you upload something to YouTube, it's buried. It's gone. Unless it's awesome or you put paid media behind it, it's gone. Do you know how many cat videos? Upload your coolest cat video. You know how many people are going to see it? Probably 0. Because you know how many cat videos are ahead of you? Millions, right? But here's the interesting fact, right? We looked up and we tried to figure out roughly how many 360, like actual uploaded 360 video pieces there are on YouTube. Roughly right now, about 100,000. That may seem like a lot, but 100,000 in comparison to 1 billion is nothing. It's a drop in the hat. It's nothing. And guess what? I'd say probably 80, 90% of at least of those 360 videos really suck. So there might be 10,000 videos on there or 360 that's really awesome that people want to see. So if you create really great fucking content in 360 and you upload it, people are going to find it because people are consuming 360. They're looking for it. They want to see it. They want to experience it. It's so cool and new, and if you do a good job and you tell a great story in 360, people will watch it and they will find it. You can't do that with regular video. Here's what I compare it to. I was thinking about this the other day. Think about back, God, what is it, 8 years ago, not even, give or take, maybe 10 at most, when iTunes decided they're going to sell music. Do you know how many people fought that tooth and nail? How many industry people thought that was ridiculous? How many music publishing houses? How many producers, like, we're not going to do that. People are still going to buy our CDs. They were wrong, man. They were wrong, and the growth curve of that was astronomical, through the roof, instantaneously. CDs were gone. We don't do that anymore. All of our music was on an iPod, and now it's on our phone. That happened instantaneously because the technology was there. It happened, and people fought against it because they thought it's changed, too much change. It's not right. Nobody's going to really they want to own a physical thing. Bullshit. 360 video is identical to this. It has that fast growth curve. Consumers are watching it. They love it. Content creators, brands that are doing a great job with content are winning. Right now, they're getting seen, and consumers want to consume this. Do you know how many times I've come off stage, and most people love it and they think this is great, I will get at least 1 or 2 people that will accost me outside and say, yeah, you know what, print works for us. This 360 video, it's just the shiny thing. It's just the shiny object. Those are the same people that thought iTunes was a shiny object. Same people. They're going to lose in the long term unless they get on board with this. I'm not saying every video ever is going to be in 360. That's absurd. It's not going to happen. But it's going to be a thing. This is Mark Zuckerberg. This was 3 months ago down in Central America with an event that they did with Samsung. Okay? And it was really funny because they all had the new Samsung Gear VR headsets on. So there was 1,000 people in the crowd. Zuckerberg walked from the back all the way to the front, and no one noticed him because they all had the VR headsets on. But he got up there, and this is one of the things he said. VR in 360 is going to change the way we live, work, and communicate. Facebook has gone all in on this technology. Remember, they own Oculus. They're partnered with Samsung. Samsung Gear VR headset came out. Facebook partnered with Samsung, recently launched a Samsung Gear 360 camera. Facebook just launched another 360 Pro camera. Facebook is launching live streaming 360. They just launched last week 360 photos viewed natively in the app. This isn't something that is fringe, that like might happen. This is happening right now. This is the time to get noticed. This is the time to take advantage. Is the technology perfect? Absolutely not. But this is the time to play, to learn, to do it, to get in now. Because this is going to be big. It's going to be huge. I'll tell you one other little analogy to just compare it for growth and where this is really going to come from. Gaming. How many of you are familiar with the website Twitch? Only a few of you. Okay. Now, I'm not a gamer. But for the rest of you that don't know what Twitch is, as marketers, as people in the digital world, you need to understand the importance of this website. At least the concept thereof. People go to this website and they live stream or they upload their video gameplay. And then people go there to watch it. They're not playing against each other. They go there to watch other people play video games and comment on it. Tens of millions of viewers every single day. Most of the top-rated and top-subscribed people on YouTube are gamers. They comment on their games, and millions of people follow them and watch their content every single day of them playing games. I find that weird, and most of you may be like, that's ridiculous. Why would I want to watch somebody else play a video game? It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is that's what people are doing. Tens of millions of them. And esports is now astronomical. More people watched, I think it was League of Legends or whatever the game is. Again, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a gamer. 39 million people watched that live. 19 million people watched the first game of the NBA Finals. 39 million, 19. You think this is fringe? And here's why this is tying back to 360, right? Minecraft, which is one of the most used and most popular online gaming communities, just recently, like a month and a half ago, launched the ability for those users to export and upload 360 content. So now their consumer base not only can watch them play games and comment and have a great time, but they can watch it in 360 and watch the perspective that they want to watch it in. These are the people buying Oculus Rift. These are the people buying Samsung Gear VR. These are the people buying this technology right now because they're ahead of all of us. Tens of millions of people are doing this today. So if you think this is fringe, do you think how obvious it's going to be when people start to, when they're watching 360 video gameplay, it's an obvious transition to then watch a 360 video. It's an obvious transition to then see marketing that's in 360. That's what's going to happen. I uploaded this to our website, bullworldwide.com/digimarcon. It's a guide. Obviously, I'm getting cut off if I run out of time. But if you want to download this and check it out, it's free. It has a lot more information, a lot more data on 360 video and where it's going. So I put that up there for you guys to take a look. It's like 40-page deck. It's a lot more information than I had here, a lot more detailed information than I have time to speak on. I know I have to go, but I could take maybe one question. I know you're going to hate me. Anyone have one question?
We don't hate you.
Nobody's got a question? Oh, man. That's crazy. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. Wait, one quick one. What do you got? Oh, man. What hardware? I know that we used a few different camera rigs. We used a GoPro camera rig, and then we had something with 7Ds rigged up. So we did a couple of different ones. One more. Sorry. I know they're going to kill me. The Samsung Gear 360, it's out. They haven't announced the pricing yet on that. There's some really low-grade consumer ones. I know Kodak PixPro makes one. It's okay. But the Samsung Gear 360, I would definitely keep an eye out. They haven't announced the price, but I think it's going to be in the consumer market pricing level. Anyway, guys, I have to run. If anybody has any questions, I'll be in the back. We can talk later. Thank you so much.